already brought some goodies. He's got some further goodies, and he's going to explain what he's going to do. And I encourage you all to take notes. He'll tell you why. Doug, the floor is yours, my friend.
The floor is mine. I'm sorry I'm late. I thought I was supposed to be here at 4:30. I was actually sitting out in my car just making phone calls.
Did you close a deal?
I'm working on one.
All right.
Jeez. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about me, but before, Hayak?
No, Sa.
Huh?
Sayaka.
Hayaka.
No, Sa. S-A.
S-A.
Y-A.
Sa.
Yeah.
Ya.
Ka.
Sayaka.
Yes.
Sayaka, where are you from?
I'm from Japan.
Japan.
Yeah.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Well, funny enough, my roommates in college were Japanese. Takahisha Naburu was my roommate.
The menu.
And Akira Yoshinaka. Did I get that right? Have a seat. So you and I are going to work together, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to listen to everything I'm saying, okay? And you're going to come up with about 5 or 6 questions, okay? But we get to ask them the questions. If they get them right, they might get something for doing it, okay? And if you get it right, you might get something for doing it. Does that work?
Yes.
If you want to ask the questions in Japanese, it's okay with me. They may be unhappy, but is that fair?
Well, her buddy back in the 4th row will get a kick out of it. She's got the inside track.
So she speaks Japanese. So, okay?
Will you ask to them?
So yeah, you're going to just, as I'm talking, just think of a question and write it down of the things I'm saying. Okay? And then when I'm finished, we're going to take your questions and ask them the questions. Okay? So, anyway, I'm Doug. I'm the head butler at the Peabody. And I was born and raised in I was actually born in California, but raised in the Caribbean islands. So I'm an island boy. I grew up in the islands. It was really a tough life. The window and balcony of my room where I lived was about from here to where you're sitting to the sand and the ocean. It was really rough waking up every morning to that. My parents hated the fact that my sister and I could sneak out at night, you know, and go to the beach and go to beach parties and stuff like that. It was really a rough childhood. Why are you laughing?
I'm just delighted.
You don't think it was a rough childhood?
I think that from a different perspective, it might have been.
It was actually a fun childhood, but I will tell you, my father's a retired colonel in the Air Force, my mother's a retired major in the Air Force. Both were fighter pilots, and they were very strict. I went to college on an athletic scholarship. I have 3 black belts in 3 different martial arts. One of them happens to be judo, which is from Japan. I'm a pilot. I have about 900 hours now, flight time. I'm on about 10 or 12 boards in the city and around the country. And I'll get into why I'm on those boards later. I wear 2 hats here in Memphis. One, I'm general manager of the Peabody in Memphis, but I'm also president of Peabody Hotels. We're working on projects right now in Dallas, in Indio, California, in Colorado, in Orlando, Cuba. I think that's it right now. We have some other possible projects, but those are the primary ones. The one that is probably the hottest on the project right now, and that was what I was doing in the parking lot, is Dallas. Dallas is about a $180 million hotel project. It's right at around close to 300 rooms. It'll be a Peabody, and yes, it will have a duck march. It sits north of downtown Dallas, right next to Alliance, Texas. Is anybody here from Dallas or Texas? So it's all foreign to you guys, but Alliance, Texas. is probably the largest office park if not in the country, probably in the world. Just to put in perspective, Facebook has over 1 million square feet of space in Alliance, Texas. All of the engines that you see on the railroads are made in Alliance, Texas, in this place. So we will be the closest hotel to Alliance, Texas, and we will be the only luxury hotel probably within about 10, 12 miles of that whole area. So we're really excited about that opportunity. I've been working on it for about 4 years, and it's finally coming to fruition. Knock on wood, we're hoping to close on our loan probably in January, and we will break ground in probably March. And the fun part about that for me is that I've never worked on this side of hotel projects. My career, I've opened 10 hotels, and it's always been after the deal has done, shovel went in the ground, it's now under construction, Doug arrives, and I take over. I've never worked for the 2 or 3 years prior to that shovel in the ground, and to be honest with you, I hate it. That part is not fun at all, because you're dealing with all these Ivy League school graduates, and all they do is talk numbers and different ways of financing and everything else. And I'm a hotel guy. I like the fun part of being in the hotel business. Wheeling and dealing on finance and everything else is not what I love to do. But I'm doing it right now. A little bit about my career. I started as a dishwasher. That was my very first job in a hotel, and worked my way up. I've worked all over the world. I've worked in Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, Amsterdam, Paris, Munich, all over the United States. I speak, read, and write Spanish fluently. It's actually my first language. I don't use spell check in Spanish. Thank God for spell check in English. You laugh, but you use it too, don't you? But I've worked all over. I started out my career early on with Intercontinental Hotels, and I worked for Intercontinental Hotels for about 6 years. I worked the Intercontinental for Ambassadors in Miami, then I helped open the Fort Lauderdale Intercontinental, and then from there I went to San Antonio, did a $40 million renovation of a hotel there, and then went to New Orleans, opened the New Orleans Intercontinental, and then from New Orleans I went back to Richmond, then I joined Hyatt Hotels, and I went to Richmond, Virginia, and it's really funny. It's funny how the world comes around. So I went to Richmond in like '83, Richmond Hyatt, and my boss was a guy by the name of Robert Colombo. Yes, part of the mafia family, Colombo. His father owned Yellow Cab in New York.
You mean the Colombo crime family?
Yes.
Yikes.
And so he had left the family and gotten out of the family, went to Cornell, was a hotel school graduate. He was general manager of the hotel that I was in. We became close and great friends, stayed in touch over the years. Wouldn't you know that here we are 30-some years later, and we're partners on the project in Dallas. So be nice to people on your way up. My father used to say, be nice to people on your way up. You may meet them on the way down, but you also may need them along the way too. So, Robert Colombo started Fuzzi's. You remember a restaurant chain, Fuzzi's? He was the founder and started Fuzzi's and sold it and did very well. So anyway, I went to Richmond, Virginia, Hyatt, and then from Richmond, Virginia, I went to the Cayman Islands. And funny story, I'll never forget this. Darrell Hartley Leonard who was the president at that time of Hyatt Hotels, and a few other people on the phone, John DeSimone, Ed Raven, a couple of people from Hyatt, all corporate people. You may recognize some of the names. We're all on the phone, and they said, congratulations, Doug, you're going to the Caymans from Richmond, Virginia. You're going to the Caymans to open that hotel. But first we want you to go and help open the Park Hyatt in Washington, D.C. You're not going to go there as general manager, you just go there to help the general manager because he's struggling and we need to get that hotel open. But then you're going to the Cayman Islands, and the reason why we chose you to go to the Cayman Islands is because you're fluent in Spanish. Who wants to laugh about that?
I thought they spoke
The
English.
Cayman Islands is a Scottish colony. They speak perfect English, no Spanish whatsoever, but I was happy to go. But I went to the Caymans, opened the Hyatt in the Caymans. From there, I joined a company that none of you know. Bubba knows. Do you guys call him Bubba?
No.
No, what do you guys call him?
They got introduced to that last week.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys don't call him Bubba? I mean, I've called him other worse things, but I call him Bubba. Anyway, I went to work for a company called Stouffer Hotels. Stouffer was owned by Nestle's. Probably one of the best jobs I ever had, because working for Nestle's,